So tonight, before we get started for tonight, Commissioner Davis is not going to be with us tonight, but we want to send a very special birthday shout out to her son on his 13th birthday. Happy birthday, Charles, from all of us here at the town. Thank you. Now we'll have old business. First, our planning social districts. Director Lauer.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening, boss. All right. The first topic of discussion tonight is social district. There's a lot of information in these slides, and so what I thought I'd do is give a brief background about social districts and previous discussions about social districts in the town of Zebulon. I'll provide an overview about what they are and what are some things to think about as you work through deciding if a social district is the right thing for the town of Zebulon, and then provide guidance and subject matter expertise to your discussion as necessary. And again, there's a lot of information in here, and so if you need to go back or you want me to stop, or feel free to use me as a guide in your discussion. So.
Can you make the deck available to us?
Most certainly, yes, of course. Yes. So social districts were established through North Carolina House Bill 890. Effectively what it is it's enabling legislation that allows for a municipality to define a geographic area for licensed establishments to sell alcoholic beverages to customers. These beverages need to be sold in specially marked cups, and then they can be possessed and consumed within the district's boundaries. It's important to point out that in the Zebulon General Code right now, there is enabling language that allows for establishments that have a valid ABC permit to serve alcohol, or to have patrons can have alcohol in immediately adjacent public areas and public sidewalks. It explicitly excludes on-street parking areas, crosswalks, and travel lanes, but it explicitly includes public sidewalks immediately adjacent to the establishment. The concept of a social district has been discussed in the town of Zebulon before. In 2020, we have a survey, and the support was generally positive. And so as we work through potentially establishing a social district with this board, we would likely want to do public engagement again in some form, as was done in 2022. There are many social districts in Wake County. Raleigh has several, Fuquay has several, and so there is precedence for establishing these, not only in the county, but we have good information about what works and what doesn't work for social districts in the broader Raleigh metro. So this slide and the next slides are about what is it? What is a social district? What are we enabled to do as a municipality? We're enabled to define boundaries, define hours of operation, work with participating establishments. We're allowed to regulate what the containers look like. We can define voluntary participation, and how do we engage the public, both in terms of setting up the social district and managing the district when it's in operation. And so briefly, just boundaries are really part of the ordinance that establishes the district. Would be establishing where are the boundaries, where does the district start and stop, and what types of properties within those boundaries are excluded. Often parking lots are excluded. I believe in downtown Raleigh, the town squares are excluded, so like Nash Square is excluded. It's important to note that this can be a living document in a way, that the boundaries can change over time, and they can be expanded for social events. Hours of operation, the town by ordinance would need to set a date and a time, dates and times for when a social district would be in effect. Some communities will have social districts just weekends, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Some have them all week long. So that's a community discussion and a community decision. We would advise that the hours need to accommodate the existing businesses. I mean, a whole function of the social district is for people to intermingle and go spend money at other businesses. And so for it to be a true economic development tool, we would need to engage other businesses in terms of when are they open, would they be willing to adjust hours, should there be more people walking around downtown and things like that. Looking at how other communities that have similar sized downtowns, how do they manage hours? And engagement obviously is very important in this as well. It's also important to note that social districts don't require businesses within the boundaries to accept open containers in their business. This is probably the biggest lift for town staff, is coordinating this part of the implementation and management of the district. What you'll see as you go around North Carolina is in social districts, businesses will put these stickers on their windows, right? You can indicate that you don't want open containers in your business. You can indicate that you sell them, and you sell them in the appropriate container to take them into the district. You can indicate that not only do you sell them, but you'll accept other people's as well. So there's a variety of choice in here for all of the businesses. Many towns in Wake County will also list the businesses that are participating or choose not to participate within the district on their website as well. And again, if a business picks one to start with, they can change later, right? This is a voluntary opt-in, opt-out program. Special containers. So in most situations, businesses are provided with a template for a sticker. They have to go print this sticker and put them on approved cups. Sometimes the towns will provide the cups, sometimes they provide the specifications for the cup. The state enabling legislation is very specific about what needs to be on the sticker. So we don't have a ton of wiggle room in what gets put on the sticker. And the cups, of course, can't be glass. And in the spirit of this being a program that's designed to promote people intermingling, working with the public is an integral component of both establishing and maintaining a social district. And so having a map on the town website to identify the boundaries, there'll likely be the need to purchase signage around town to show the limits of the social district. And there may be ways to engage businesses, and they can have a role in promoting the district from a marketing perspective as well. One other thing is that the legislation does give municipalities the ability to limit or to enact further regulations. So we can't go backwards. We can't make the state enabling legislation less strict, but we can make it more strict. And some communities have limited the types of alcohol that can be carried through a social district. And that's important to point out here. This slide here is more about the things that you should consider and that I hope to guide you through over the next couple months. What's the right kind of social district for Zebulon? I'm sure the next couple months we'll have conversations about enforcement, about how to operate it, how to ensure that there's fairness and equity in the implementation of the district. Community engagement, how can we craft the district in a way that advances downtown goals? And this is a town program at the end of the day, so there is going to be a cost to the taxpayer as well. And so all of these things need to be balanced as we work towards creating or potentially creating a social district. There's a lot of detail in these slides as well as the previous ones did. Chief Puckett has done some preliminary work on enforcement and how other communities have, what types of challenges they've seen with social districts. Spoken at length with our Main Street coordinator about operations. A major challenge across the state with social districts has been that people are walking around with plastic cups. What do you do with all these plastic cups, right? And some communities do a better job of managing this than others.
And some communities use the recyclable, the reusable aluminum cups.
Sure, that is a thing, yeah. So you are allowed to, it doesn't have to be disposable, it just can't be glass. Right. It has to be a standard drink size. But there's a cost, obviously, with having to wash reusable cups. Fairness and equity, thinking about how not all businesses may want to participate at the same level or some not at all. Using social district as a tool to better promote downtown traffic rather than a cure-all, I think is important because different businesses downtown, different tax-paying entities are going to have different opinions on this. And so promoting this as an opt-in, opt-out program is pretty critical to the success of it, as we've seen around the state. Obviously, community engagement is key to not only implementing it, but maintaining a successful social district and potentially growing it. And there is fiscal impact. The town will have to purchase signage. The town may have to purchase trash cans. There'll be more staff time for operating the district, for working with businesses on what their options are in terms of opting in, opting out. There'll be some level of enforcement that may not be particularly police department enforcement, but that may be education or re-education. But there may also be positive fiscal impacts as well. There's economic benefits to finding ways to bring people downtown to intermingle and to spend money at other local businesses, and that's the intent of this legislation. And so that's an overview of the social district. I'm happy to guide any discussions you have or receive any feedback or direction from this board on what the next steps that you think staff should take.
Thank you, Director Lauer. Any questions, comments from the board?
I'll quickly say that so we do have a police chief here and also a Main Street coordinator. If there are questions specifically related to maybe how you implement this, but also from an enforcement point of view, so just so you know. So if you have questions related to this.
I'm not opposed to a social district. I've said all along that there's going to be a time when this is going to be on point and perfect for Zebulon, but we have to be mindful of what makes a successful social district, and that is opportunities to stroll and shop. And we have to think about exactly how many places we have currently open downtown where residents or people that come in from other municipalities or outside of the town have to actually go and spend money. The goal is not to have a district simply so that people can walk from one alcohol establishment to another alcohol establishment. And in a lot of places, it's it's excluded from their regulations being able to bring in a drink from someplace else into the next alcohol establishment. Like, you can't bring a drink that you purchased inside of Norse Brewing into Fall Line, for obvious reasons, because one establishment is going to want to sell their alcoholic beverages, and everyone's going to want to make the most money. But we need to make sure that when we are deciding when to launch a social district, that we have the retail opportunities to support it and have it make sense.
Thank you, Commissioner Baxter. Commissioner Roa?
One of my major questions was for Chief Puckett on how it looks. What is the stress on the police department? Would you need more staff, or what does that look like to enforce the social district?
I reached out to several municipalities in Wake County of similar size as Zebulon. I heard back from 3. Those that I heard back from had varying hours. Most of the hours ended at 9 or at the latest 10 o'clock. Based upon the hours and the way it was developed, they did not have additional pressure on the police department. Now, there was one town, Wendell, who did hire 1 to 3 part-time employees with public works, but all of that was not attributed to the social district. Part of that was attributed to the number of businesses downtown. So, you know, and if I could add one caveat, one consideration I think we need to think about for the safety of the citizens is we have NC-96 running right downtown. So that is something obviously we need to take into consideration for the safety of the citizens. We have NC-96 running right through our downtown, so we have a main thoroughfare. We're a little bit different from most downtowns because most downtowns are away from a lot of traffic. We do have a lot of traffic and big trucks running down 96, And that's just one caveat I would like to throw out, if I may.
Thank-
That kind of aligns with some of the discussions we've had on what are the possibilities of us taking that street from DOT and taking it back into Zebulon, since we maintain the street, and what that process would be like, so then the town can close that street and host events or redirect truck traffic around Gannon and down Vance, so that downtown can actually be a walkable, enjoyable area without having a logger or, fuel tanks going through there. Or depending how we decide on the food trucks, kind of the same thing. If you want to have food trucks down there, you're not worried about, getting blindsided. There's something that we can do to minimize the danger of traffic. I think with, I would just kind of have to see it play out, right? Like, we have 4 alcohol establishments downtown now. If, let's say we follow the model that didn't require any more police officers, so it closes at 10. What time do those establishments usually open, right? Because if the bars don't open till 9 or something like that, and then the social district is closed at 10, what really happens, in that hour? And most of the shopping is closed at 8 o'clock or 10, then what does that look like, right? If we were to implement it. And then my concern with the dead zones are, let's say hypothetically Creative Cup opts out, but Armando's opts in. So people will go and drink, go across the street, and maybe they order pizza and they're congregating around, in front of that business that won't allow them to bring in alcohol. And it might be, it's almost like a Swiss cheese approach to the social district. If a lot of people opt out, then it's really just really broken into separate fragments, So I guess what I'm asking, if I'm asking anything, is when we go for public input, that we make sure we're asking these businesses if they really want to be in or they want to be out, and we have like a percentage, because it's important. If we get a 50-50, I don't know if that's enough for a social district. If it's a stronger, 80% want it, then maybe, let's just.
And do we have the type of establishments that are going to make the social district successful? Yeah, restaurants without liquor licenses, sure, might want to opt in, but maybe we'll be able to hear from the Main Street Board a little bit about maybe if there are things that are coming, when it might make sense for our downtown area with the efforts that they're putting in for us to really consider a social district. And then maybe would the Main Street Board or Economic Development be interested in spearheading the public engagement portion so that they can bring back to us not only what they're working on, but also how they see the town building out with the Main Street program and just what makes sense through what they have going on.
Can economic development talk about if a social district helps or hurts recruitment of businesses?
Can help or hurt. I think it can help or be neutral probably more than anything, depending, because there's a few kinds of businesses that might not be at all wanting to have anything to do with it and maybe look for another place to be if they were actually looking in downtown. But most of the time it's either, yes, I would love to have more things happen inside my business, or a little bit neutral because they just don't really have a experience or a opinion about it. So I think that for recruitment, probably not a big consideration unless we had kind of a roaring downtown that maybe was tourism driven and had a lot of those places. It might be a consideration, but for now, I don't think we've had any questions about it. Do we have one or not? So. you know, it's probably a good time to baby step in and see, you know, see what the businesses want and how they respond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments from the board?
So Matt, taking over that street downtown, what does that look like for us now?
What street are
as a
you
town?
talking about?
The main corridor, 96, Matt, taking that over that section that we currently have. What does that look like, Matt?
That's a big process.
Gotcha.
Other towns have done it in North Carolina. I would need to do a little more research on how it works in North Carolina. I've been a part of it in other states.
Okay.
It wouldn't be short or simple.
Okay.
But it is possible.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that there would be a cost to doing that as well.
The cost would largely come in the fact that then we'd maintain this road. We would be responsible for, I was going to say plow. We don't plow a lot here, but we would be plowing snow. But we would be responsible for maintaining the road and then for all of the reconstruction of the road as well.
And so, and this is something that when I was on Campo never came up, but you probably know, if we were to take back a NCDOT road, would then the responsibility to repair and replace the traffic lights fall upon Zebulon? Because that is extremely expensive.
You would take on the entire right-of-way.
And so,
And so everything in the right-of-way becomes the town's.
and so just to put out a cost for anyone that might not know, for us to put in the light at, on Shepherd School Road was in excess of $750,000. It probably wouldn't be quite that much because we wouldn't have to do the, well, it might actually be just as much because of how prices are
Commissioner Baxter,
increasing.
can you speak into your mic so we can?
Oh my God, what? This is like the
Thank you.
first time ever that I have ever been told that no one could hear me.
Sorry,
or to
thank you.
Wow, you are welcome. Look at me going into 2026 like a mouse.
You go,
Sorry,
girl. You go,
everybody.
girl.
Gosh. So there's going to be a cost and we have to think about the fact that we do have accidents that happen on 96 that have affected poles before where we've had traffic lights. And so that money that would be spent in repairs would fall on us.
Here's currently where we're at now. I know you mentioned plowing and stuff like that. I know Public Works we're already taking care of those streets. Even when we recently had where there was like some tree stump under the ground, something like that, our guys went and repaired that stuff. So the maintenance that DOT is doing is very limited. Our guys, Public Works is already taking care of those things. Whether we're obligated to or not, I know in the past they've already made sure that road is definitely maintained by us. And whether we're putting funds in it either way. So we're kind of doing that. Then I heard you talk about the assessment for it at the Boys and Girls Club where we just put that light in. That initial cost, $750,000, was basically based off of there was nothing there from the start. Basically what we would be doing is picking up and maintaining what is currently there. So there's going to be a totally different cost and analysis on that situation because there's already something there. What we did out there was totally from ground up. So that cost, I don't think it would be $750,000, that's for sure.
Sure. I think that as a community like Zebulon, in the sense that Zebulon is emerging from being a small town to something new, right? This is the type of discussion that happens in every community that's going through what we're going through. And the decision at the end of the day will have to be a community decision that's going to be made in this very setting over time. I think, though, that a concept of a social district or some things that the town can do now to begin to set a baseline, maybe a precedence might be the right word, for what downtown is going to be and function. Because if the town were to take over the road, the next question is going to be, well, what are we going to do about streetscape? How are we going to, when we do have to repave the road, what are we going to do with the sidewalks? How do we make this better, right? So beginning those conversations and trying things now. I think that is a good next step as this board and as the broader community begins to think about downtown.
I agree with what you're saying. It's kind of forward thinking. I think we're there now. We're on that cusp. We're a little over, 14,000 citizens. We're going to possibly double that. So we're at that point where that trial and error, we can do it with that number a lot easier than when we get to 28,000. We tried it with 28,000 or 25,000, whatever that may be. I think we're there. Like I said, previously when we did it in 2022, it was like we were still just it was more so catered to a fall line. We knew the town owned that alleyway. So in order to give fall line an option where if you stepped across a little line in the alleyway, you weren't breaking the law, we created something temporary just to fix that. That was more so catered to fix that issue. So now, as we look to expand, I think we're there now, you know what I'm saying, to give that example.
What I would say to Commissioner Baxter, with your point, I agree that it is expensive. What I'm trying to think of is a way for the town to take ownership of downtown. I think a lot of what I've heard from local businesses, what I've heard from my meeting with economic development is we're trying our best through these programs and the art group and the volunteer board to grow downtown, but we don't have full ownership of downtown. We don't control the streets. We can't close it down until we get permission from the DOT. We have to pay for that. So if we're trying to also keep those businesses from leaving downtown and not looking vacant, right? We need to worry about how do we redesign the streetscape? What can we do once we own the street? Can we close them and give economic development a schedule of where they can have vendor fairs or something? We can be more involved, I think, with providing more to bring more to downtown. Because right now, the way I see it is just, it's just there. Downtown is just there, and we just know it as downtown, and we drive through it, but I want to just try to take a step in, and I know it's going to be a little more expensive, but we have 5,000 more homes coming. I think there might be some money in the budget, I'm not sure, but to kind of take that step, because as we do grow, I think we're already at that cusp of explosive growth. We want to make sure we're not trying to, on the back end, take the street or.
That's kind of where you're at. Your return. Go ahead.
I don't disagree that looking to take ownership of that street isn't a possibility. But is it the right first step? I don't think so. I don't think just jumping in and saying, well, I want this and it's going to fix all our problems is necessarily correct. There are things that we can do in the interim as maybe those 5,000 homes are built and come on board. Having more people does not mean that taking ownership of that street is going to be any more or less difficult. It's just going to be the same. The process is going to be the process. But we can do things like traffic calming measures, bump outs on the crosswalks. These are things that we've talked about in the past. You weren't on the board yet. I'm not even sure that Commissioner Davis was on the board yet. But there are things that we can do to kind of craft the downtown to start to look the way we want it to, and still have events downtown, still engage with DOT in that process, but not take that whole street on just to take it on without maybe doing a little bit more research into what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. And I really want to get input from the Downtown Main Street Board, because I think that they play a crucial role in how our downtown is going to shape and what it's going to look like in the future. That's what we've entrusted them with.
I'll take a few things you said there, taken into consideration. The bump outs, that's going to cost. We did analysis on that. That's a heavy cost too as well in town, which is going to be taxpayer dollars too as well. Then I'm looking at I look at some of the main things that we have for is like our main events, Candy Cane Lane, those things like that. When we have in parade, everything we're doing, we're having to go to someone else to even begin the process. So I personally like where the town has that control, where we control, when we want to have a parade, a Candy Cane Lane, a flea market, a farmer's market, those things we take in control without having to go to somebody else. We're asking now someone else to have permission in our town. And at the time frame now where we're at, where we have more control, that's going to be key. Where our park and rec director or Matt or whomever don't have to go to somebody else and say, hey, can we have an event on this day? Or are you willing to close that street down for us? That's going to give us that control that I believe our planning and our park and rec and everybody's going to want.
It sounds like Commissioner Baxter, you may be for this if we got all that information. What is it going to cost? What does it look like? The pros and cons.
That's just reasonable without, I mean, we're not going to move forward without getting information and all of that. So this tonight is just a discussion about this. We're not looking to make any type of movement on it, but we want to be educated. We want to understand what we're getting into. We want to understand the risk and the pros and cons of moving forward with any of these things. And so the information that you've brought to us is great. And so we appreciate that. I think now is a great opportunity for us to maybe individually meet with Matt, get more understanding, go to Main Street Conference is coming. I don't know how that, if it talks about social districts, but I think that now we have taken the first step in bringing it here tonight. And so now that we have brought it up, now it's here, we have it going. And so now we just need to continue getting educated, getting those numbers that we've asked for, so we can see how we're going to keep going, or if we want to keep going, and what the consensus of the board will be to move this project or move this forward.
I mean, this discussion is supposed to be surrounding social districts.
Correct.
A social district can occur whether we own the street or not.
Right.
We are still going to have traffic on that street. We can't close it off 365 days of the year so that we can have a social district. I mean, we could, but the damage that would create to our downtown businesses and the congestion that it would cause throughout our entire community if Arundel could no longer be utilized through the downtown would be significant. And so I think that we need to move forward looking into a social district.
Yeah.
Like the social district and possibly acquiring a portion of 96 for the town. I think those need to be dealt with in two separate pots. Those are different things that we need to talk about that, are they going to be downtown? The social district will be downtown, and potentially a town-owned street could be downtown. But we need to think of them separately because we can move forward with both of them in tangent and gather information.
Thank you.
So Matt, with that said too, a realistic time frame, okay, we're talking about it, say tonight. I saw the list that you did, Wendell, Carey, all those guys have already, Apex and Carey those. What was the implementation time frame, getting it from doing what we're doing tonight to starting up that first time frame? Did we discuss?
Are you talking about the social district or
yes,
the?
Ma'am, social
Okay,
district,
all right.
social district, yes.
So we didn't talk to the other municipalities about the time frame between the conception of the idea and the approval by their boards.
Yes, ma'am.
Internally, we've looked at what this would take, and we think approximately 6 months.
6 months?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
And that will be from concept of like rules and regulations, guidelines, those buy-ins, who's in, who's out, who just having
Right,
those
so
discussions.
if the board told me today, Matt, go get started, I think 6 months from now would be a reasonable time frame to have an adoptable proposal on your desk.
So you would need that direction from the board, didn't you say? Correct?
I thought that he was going to gather some information.
Well, I've written a couple things down based on the discussion that sounded like asks to staff. One of them was poll the hours of the existing businesses that serve alcohol to understand when they're open, when they're pouring drinks. The second was to talk to all the other businesses downtown and get an idea of who would opt in and opt out. I mean, that kind of gives us the matrix of where the business is and what they think of this as an entity, as a group. And then the mayor has asked me to meet individually with each of you and just have larger in-depth discussion as necessary.
Did she? I'm just playing.
Make sure you have the tools. I can cross it out. So those are the three things that I took from this discussion. Those are very reasonable things that I could do in
That sounds great,
relatively
Matt.
short order.
Yeah, that sounds good. So can we give, if it would be a consensus of the board, can we give a timeline to bring all of that information and this back to us for the March work session? I want to give enough time to speak to every business, to meet with every commissioner, and to be able to compile that information. And maybe I don't know if our team will need to talk to other neighbors or communities.
Does that sound
Do
reasonable?
you all think that's reasonable? I want to make sure it's reasonable for you. The amount of work.
For
too far out.
for the
Well,
downtown?
February is next month, and we want to make sure we want to be mindful of our staff and what they already have on their plate. So I want to make sure that we are being fair to our staff. I don't want to give them a directive of 30 days right in
Oh,
budget season.
absolutely, we should not be
I don't
doing
think
that.
that would be
Right.
okay.
When I'm looking,
It's budget season, Quentin. Don't do
I
that to them.
believe that the
Don't do
Main
that.
Street program is,
because you're looking mid-March, though.
We have spoken with Chief Puckett, and we are looking at the ability to hold a meeting of the downtown group. We have done that in the past just as a Main Street program. We've got the contact information, set a date and time so that we could all hear the same information, so they would be fully informed on any decision they would want to make. We would not want to ask them a question if they didn't fully understand the program.
okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
What I was just sharing with Director Lau is, of course, you want to do this when the weather allows it, right?
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
so depending on the time frame, you have May, June, July, August before the weather turns again in the fall. So I think that's something to be mindful of in terms of when you want us to come back. There will still be public hearing. So if you're targeting July, August timeframe, then this has to be accelerated in a way without necessarily leaving anyone out. So I
Correct.
get the fact that we still have to engage in all of that. But if you're targeting sometime this year in the summer, then it has to move quick.
That's what I'm saying,
And I don't
because-
want
So,
us
Matt,
to-
what
I don't
I will-
also want us to move
Thank
too
you.
quick
Yeah, right.
and we don't have the right information.
Correct.
So that's something
Sure.
for you all.
So
Give us a realistic time frame then.
polling the hours of the existing businesses that serve alcohol and attempting to figure out who would opt in, who would opt out, and who's on shore, we could do that in less than 30 days.
Okay. And along with everything else that you need to get, you think, I just want to make sure that we're not putting more already on top of your full plate.
No, I mean, we have a variety of projects inside the department that we move up and down depending on priorities either from the board or whatever, and so this is just one we move up.
So February, what is this month? January, February's work session is doable?
Yeah, we can bring you that information in
Okay,
February.
awesome, thank you.
Thank
That
you.
works?
That's what I was looking at, because if you look at kind of what you were saying, I was doing, if he says 6 months implementation, you would look at almost being like 2026, if we went to like March.
I was looking at their capacity, but okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that sounds
Just
good.
looking at time frame.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
if I may chime in, if he's going to take about 30 days to kind of get these answers, the agenda cutoff window for that work session is much shorter, because we're already just 3 or 4 weeks out from that cutoff.
Well, we're talking work session, to bring back to work
Right,
session,
yes,
not the regular meeting.
Right, yes,
Is that, so what's that?
How close is the cutoff to 30 days?
You've got about 15 days before that submission cutoff date is already here, because we're already at the 2/2 meeting agenda cutoff today.
But we know that that's coming, Matt. Well, I think, I can't speak for myself. Because this is the board, if we're flexible with that, to give them a little leeway to understanding to get that back time frame. I think we're there now, but I can't speak for him, speak on my behalf. I think we're there, but it's up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
I think that if we're 2 weeks away from gathering that information, can you get all of that done in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think we can.
All right.
I told the planning board this when we met on, it would have been on Monday, that, you know, this year from a development standpoint is going to look very different. A lot more commercial, a lot less large single-family home developments, and this is just right in line with thinking those things through. So it's very easy for us to prioritize this, and I could at least get those two things back to the board by
That
February.
sounds good. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, great.
All right.
Take one thing off your plate. We don't have to meet
Okay.
before.
You have my phone
next
number.
month.
You can text
Yeah.
me.
That sounds good. Well, a meeting, if you wanted one, there is purpose for some people to meet, but if you all don't want to, you don't have to.
I'm happy to meet with all of y'all. So.
All right, let's move on. Our next thing is mobile food vendor update.
All right, so this is a presentation that, with a couple changes that the planning department gave the board initially in October. This presentation frames the result of the text amendment process for downtown food trucks. And so I'll present the information, and then given that this is a work session, we did include the sample motions. There's 2 potential ones. I won't put that on the screen until I'm asked by the board. Just a reminder, since this is a active proposed text amendment, there are review standards for text amendments, and we can come back to the screen as necessary.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to, before we get rocking and rolling, so are you putting motions in front of us because you are asking us to vote?
No, they're on the screen because this is still, that's part of the process. It's
Okay,
within the
I just
process.
wanted to make sure
Yes,
that I
ma'am.
understood
Yeah,
what we were getting into tonight.
No. This is, the red is the downtown core zone. This is the area of town we're talking about today. We're specifically talking about the operations of food trucks in the public rights of way in the downtown core. This proposal or this discussion does not affect the operations of food trucks on private property. Right in line with the discussion that we just had, food trucks in downtown present opportunities and they also present challenges. Food trucks downtown bring rotating diverse offerings of types of food. They may bring more people downtown. And food trucks are an entrepreneur-friendly way to scale to a brick-and-mortar restaurant. We have an example here in Zebulon with the Smash Masters restaurant. There are also challenges with food trucks downtown. You do lose parking spaces if it happens in the right-of-way. Right now, there's really no regulation around managing spaces, which is going to be the bulk of the discussion today. They do bring noise if you don't provide power because they run off of gas generators. And some brick and mortar restaurants may dislike this because these are restaurants effectively competing with tax-paying businesses as well. So these are important things to consider as you discuss this item. How did this item even come about? We occasionally do audits of parts of the UDO when we find that there's inconsistencies historically, and this is one of those situations. The food truck enabling language in the UDO explicitly only allows mobile food vendors on private property. And since the UDO had been created, the town had been issuing food truck permits for public right-of-way streets in the downtown core. This is a normal thing when new UDOs are created, particularly in towns that are growing rapidly. And so there is a process to deal with these procedural uncertainties and inconsistencies, and we've implemented that process. It's important, the process is important because there's a couple things that supersede the UDO. And one of those is called investor-backed expectations and due process. And so simply just changing the ordinance, we felt, would raise fairness and due process concerns for businesses downtown. And so the ask when this was brought to the board in August was to either review and select a change to the UDO to allow for this to continue, or to infirm the intent of the ordinance when the UDO was adopted in 2020. This is an addition since this slide deck was presented to you in October. I just wanted to outline the public engagement that we've done since this issue was discovered. When we issued food truck permits for the downtown businesses beginning in April, those permits came with guidance attached to them to expect changes to this process in the future, but it didn't outline exactly what those changes would be because we didn't know yet. On June 27th, I sent a letter to all permit holding businesses downtown that informed that the way we would be doing enforcement is changing. On June 30th, all of the Main Street businesses were contacted by email and were shared that letter, and were further invited to speak with the planning department. On August 5th, all permit holding downtown businesses, these are food truck permit holding downtown businesses, were invited to speak with the planning department and review all of the content prior to the public hearing. We had a public hearing on August 11th, which we advertised as the UDO requires us to advertise public hearings. The planning board had 2 discussions about this. They tabled it on August 11th and continued the discussion to September 8th. They gave staff some direction on August 11th, and so we brought back a refined text amendment on September 8th. The planning board recommended approval of that refined draft on September 8th, and this was initially presented to the Board of Commissioners on October 6th. And I would like to add that the engagement with the businesses on the 27th, the 30th, and the 5th, we did get some engagement. And so that was positive. And we have a generally positive relationship with all of the downtown businesses as well. And so staff put together 6 solutions that were presented at the joint public hearing. And these are the 6. And the planning board really liked option number 2, but they wanted to see some additional information about safety, power, times of day when this would operate, and basically a more refined, a more robust option 2. And that was the option that the planning board eventually recommended that this board consider the approval of. So staff is presenting 2 options. One option is the do-nothing option, and what that means is that the board simply tells the planning department, nope, when the town adopted the UDO in 2020, this is what we meant, and phase out all of the food truck permits in the downtown right away. The cost to the taxpayer is $0 on that one. The planning board's recommended alternative, which we'll talk about in a second, would cost the taxpayer somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000, and this is mostly moving paint in public rights-of-ways, moving parking spots around and adding some signage. So what is the recommended alternative from the planning board? Well, it's to create 2 permanent food truck parking spots downtown, one on Horton and one on Van Street in the areas pictured on the screen here. The handicap parking spaces would move, they wouldn't go away. Talk with Public Works about where are some options to move them. And there are a couple different reasonable places to put them. Some of them would increase costs, but it would keep them on Van Street. There's also the option to simply put them in the municipal parking lot as well. One of the reasons these 2 spots were picked was because both of them have power. And this is this is the voltage that food trucks require, and it's already there. And so it wouldn't cost the town any money to install anything there. This is effectively what the city of Raleigh does, with the exception of the potential of providing power. And so as part of as we move forward with this, if this is the option that the board wants to go through, part of it would be a fee schedule for renting space here downtown, and then that would help supplement the cost of the power as well. The hours of operation in the recommended proposal, the planning board recommended proposal, were 10 to 2, Monday through Thursday, to capture the lunch crowd, and then 10 to 10, Friday through Sunday, to capture the evening and the nightlife crowd. Each vendor would be limited to 16 hours a month and would only be offered 1 Friday, Saturday, Sunday slot per month. And the reason this is in there is to promote equity, to ensure that there are multiple food trucks cycling through downtown. And we felt as staff that this was a reasonable request from the planning board, because what it does is it begins to address the concern that if you have a food truck just parked there all the time, that you're taking money away from a tax-paying brick-and-mortar business. This would create some work for the planning department, but we love to work, that's okay. We would manage the scheduling of this. And it's important to note that the planning board, originally this was more narrow. The planning board asked for these number of hours to be expanded. And so what will we do should you approve option 2, the planning board's recommended option? We could manage the scheduling program by hand. We would research some scheduling programs, some software, just so we had a good understanding of what efficiencies we might be able to capture. We would develop a fee schedule, a cost per hour to cover town costs, and develop an enforcement plan that would sit as an internal department policy about how our code enforcement officers would handle downtown food trucks. Food trucks would still need to register with the town as they do now when they operate on private property. They still need to have all the proper state approvals as well. Should the board choose to move forward with option 2, there's a couple other considerations. One is that if this is successful, we could expand it to other parts of town. As the stadium redevelops, or as we see these mixed-use town centers begin to develop in the area, there may be options to implement this model there. It could give us the ability to implement public improvements in downtown to support the food trucks. This could be benches and things like that. If you notice, both of these locations are not on a rental. We fully control these streets. Creation of a social district. This all kind of came together as we work through it as a group here, right? So, a social district and having food trucks downtown, they do enhance each other. And it could encourage smaller, or a similar model to be done on private lots. And so, I think it's important to note here that all of the options that staff put together, we feel could solve not solve, but could provide a happy medium to all of the different voices in the room and help the community move forward and what food trucks look like downtown. So staff is not making a recommendation on what we think you should pick. We just want to be clear that the process, which is my job ultimately in this situation, is to be the steward of the process, produced a recommendation. We do ask, though, that should you like recommendation 2, that if you choose to increase the number of hours a vendor may operate, ask for those increases to be done in increments of 4 hours, because that makes the scheduling much simpler, if that makes sense. And I'll stop there. The next page is suggested motions, but I won't put that on the screen unless you would like to. So,
Questions, feedback from the board. Commissioner Miles, you look like you're ready.
No, I think my first thing is the hours, that's for sure, because I know most of the establishments down there, your food establishments close around 9, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then your food, the bars or whatever don't close until 2. So if you put it at 10 o'clock, and most of the food...
What bars are open till 2?
Every one of those downtown. All of them open till 2.
I mean, like, I never see them open till 2.
I mean,
I just don't, I just don't see
Who's
them
out at 2
I don't see them packed
telling your
until
business
2.
now, aren't you?
I mean, maybe
No.
if we do something, can we increase later?
yeah, this is not static.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could go from 10 to 10
most of the
to
places,
10 to 2 down the road, if we choose.
Sure.
Okay.
most of the food trucks are set up, and like I said, they don't get started till 9 o'clock. I mean, literally. And walking into, if you go and visit those places, Fall Down 96 Spotlight, what's Sam's Club name? I forget. Those guys don't even get started until 9:30, 10 o'clock, literally. So that's part of the nightlife crew that we have here in Zebulon. So, like I said, 10 o'clock will be almost useless for a food truck to come down there, because the bars, like I said, don't even really even get people there till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Would you be okay with, let's say, Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., then it closes for dinner, late lunch, dinners for the Rick and Mortars, and then they open again from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., okay, I'm looking at, I'm gonna base it off like your Wednesday nights during the summertime. I ride motorcycles, that's bike night. So that really don't get started till like 6 o'clock. So they wouldn't even be able to have a food truck out there during that night, if you go by those hours right there. And that's one of the busiest nights they have. That's just one example. Fall Down is the same way too as well. I think he just did away with his just because it was kind of hard finding parking. We didn't have rules and regulations in place. Then I'm looking at, I don't know what Brandon does. I don't think Brandon has anything. I'm looking at Amondo's. He has a food truck out there. He did anyway. I don't know what those hours were, but I think it was during the same time frame. But 10 to 2 during the weekday, I don't know.
I mean, we could do from 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 2 throughout the week.
And just not during the
And
morning?
then just not during the day, and we can always revisit that. And that way, it's consistent for every single day. Food trucks will have an expectation of when when they can operate on any given day. It's going to be between these hours. And we can adjust it if needed.
Can we create a third option? Because
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
so a third option for me would, we spoke this.
You speaking to your.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Third option, because first option, we let it ride out to the June and then it's all terminated. Second option is going to be picking hours. Third option, let's not do anything because we haven't gotten in, well, we got our hands spanked yet. So it hasn't messed up anything thus far. No one's complained thus far, maybe 1 or 2 people, but
What do you mean?
as far as like they're mad about the food trucks right in front of their area. So I'm saying this is me. I'm just saying let's let it ride out until it happens because why fix something if it's not broken?
I think it's very broken. Putting the food trucks on Arundel Avenue is very dangerous. It causes congestion. It reduces the number of parking spaces directly downtown. I think that we do need to move the location of the food trucks. And if we want to just say we're moving them onto Horton and Vance Street and then not put hours up, I think that's a mistake, but I'm willing to entertain that before I am willing to entertain that we do nothing. I say that because I have almost hit people on 3 occasions driving through downtown at night because they walk into the street and you don't see them because the food trucks have such a huge presence until they are actually in the street. My daughter, Anna, is 17 years old. She is a new driver. She almost hit someone about a month ago in a similar situation. Like, let's not do that. Let's make stuff safe.
Commissioner Adams, if I may, if we were to do nothing and this would sunset, I couldn't reissue new food truck permits.
Exactly. I understand.
So what I'm trying to say. Okay, the ones that I'm sitting on Arundel, that's going to be in front of 96, and then it was Fall Line. Those were the 2 there. The one that's on Horton Street sits in front of Spotlight. You have Sam's place that sits on the sidewalk. He has a church parking lot. Those are only 4 that we have right now.
Armando's?
Armando's. Sometimes he's not on a regular basis. The one I'm looking at the one's consistency there.
And there was one in front of the old Raleigh for a little bit. I don't know.
He's only had like 2 in my time frame, literally 2. That's doing the special events. I've only seen that. So I'm looking at really the only one that's on the Arundel now is 96. That's the same. That's the only person that's going to affect. And we had those guys, that small business owner coming. That is a major part of their business right now to get them part of that.
Well, then they need to start serving food themselves if it's a major part of their business.
So what we're looking at right now is whether or not we want to add hours or we want to not, or we want to do nothing. What is the consensus of the board?
I think going with Mayor Pro Tem, I think in general it's bad policy to create policy around one business. But at the same time, that one business is a thriving business in downtown. Right. So we do have the opportunity to create policy that we can tailor around to include that business, right? So I think, where are you on moving them off of Arundel onto at least the side streets and then exploring having them open for that business to use during their hours of operation? Is that something you're kind of leaning towards or you're moving against?
I'm leaning against it to say moving them at all. I'm kind of where Commissioner Adams says leave them where they are right now. So
no, but Director Lau was saying is if we go with option 1 and we do nothing, the UDO forbids food trucks. So then we just can't ever issue, right, correct?
But I can't issue something that
The food trucks are gone and they disappear forever.
What you're saying is, we're policymakers, so we set the policy. So to say it's done away with, that's not true. You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're
And
saying.
is that what is written right now?
Correct.
doesn't-
Correct.
So,
But we
yeah.
just have to create another policy to get where we're going, Director? Is that what I'm saying?
You wanted to, if you didn't want to approve option 2 or form option 1, the only way to solve this problem is with a text amendment. So we
Okay.
would need to create a different text amendment
what-
in line with
So to say it's
whatever the
completely
policy
gone,
is.
it's not gone.
If we do create a text amendment and go down that route, I would just consider, can I just walk you through a scenario? You tell me if it's accurate or not. Can I technically lease where the old pawn shop was, right? And put a bookstore there, and then ask the town for a permit to then host a food truck in front of my business?
Right, we can't discriminate between a food serving business that may have a food truck, a alcohol establishment that may have a food truck, or a bookstore. Either commercially zoned businesses can have them, or businesses in the zone can have them, or they can't.
So so anyone, so that technically I could come out of there, I don't have to have a kitchen in my bookstore. I can just open downtown and then have a food truck through the town with a permit, post it outside.
What you're describing, if we were to design a text amendment that preserved the historical practice, that would be a result of that, yes.
So what that means is technically, if we keep it as is, anybody can lease a space downtown.
Correct.
And doesn't have to actually make it a restaurant or get a kitchen in it, which is very expensive and a lot of permitting. They can just get a food truck. So you could technically have all different types of business with like 10 or 11 or 12 food trucks out front, blocking the whole street. That's the worst case scenario, obviously, but that's what that loophole, if multiplied 10 times, could create. So if we're gonna create a policy, then it should be, at least for your consideration, that it's gotta be at least 100 feet away from a brick and mortar restaurant, right? Because you wouldn't wanna have your business and then 3 food trucks right in front of where you're trying to sell people food. That would be my consideration, is if you are looking to do a text amendment, to consider at least making them so they're spaced out to give other businesses that come to downtown an opportunity to thrive if they have a kitchen or they sell food.
I just want to make sure that it's a consensus, and that we are looking at what's in the best interest for the safety and well-being of this growing community. Just want to say that. That's all. Okay.
And I would like to
Continue.
add that it is irresponsible to be preferential to one business.
But that's what I was going to say before.
I'm not done. Thank you. If we're talking about having a social district where people are going to be walking around anyway in the future, then why not have designated areas where it will be known and reliable that those folks can go to get something to eat? We have 2 places already identified. You both were on the planning board and voted to unanimously put forward option 2, and it does make sense. If we wanted to tweak the hours, I would be amenable to that. But I do think that we need to hear from the Main Street Board and downtown as to what is going to make the best sense. Again, we should not be making a decision based on one business or 2 businesses, because it's going to affect our entire downtown and all of the residents that travel down Arundel.
Commissioner Miles.
What you have is this. You're asking us, first of all, I'm not basing my decision off one business alone. I'm not. And I'm definitely not going to make a policy based off one potential accident by a 17-year-old child.
And I also,
Okay, hold on. Please don't make me gavel, y'all. All right, thank you.
So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're doing a discussion that we have right now. So we're being asked to base off a series of things, not just one business, one individual, a potential. So that's where we're at now, just discussing that. So we'll kind of go from there. I'm open to having more discussion, definitely more about different options, if there is an option 3. I think we talked briefly about that when we met with Matt before. I'm not sure, but those 1 and 2 is where we're at. So.
Sure, I can talk about that briefly. So we do meet with commissioners before items go before them, and we did talk about if there was a third pathway to preserve what otherwise would sunset the middle of this year. And that's certainly true. There could be a way to do it. I mean, we would need to go create sort of probably 2 or 3 different alternatives of what the text may look like, and then we put that back through the text amendment process because it's a fundamentally different proposal. But it's certainly something we're capable of doing. And the solution would look different, right? The implementation would look different, but it would result in being able to legally issue food truck permits for downtown businesses at the end of the day. If there's a third choice, we could certainly support it.
Yes, Commissioner Morrow.
I agree. The safety is the one thing I do not like, and that's why I think we had met and discussed about taking back the street, is because right now when a big truck, when there are food trucks on both sides, it becomes a 1-lane highway, right? And I've seen that. My wife had opened the door to go to Creative Cup and almost lost the door. I mean, things like that happen because you're condensed and you're compressed. So I thought, if it pleases the board, to talk about all these things in unison, because if we can take over the street and we revert traffic of trucks out of there, and then we can dictate what the escape looks like, and then we can set food truck policy hours, we could ultimately, in one kind of swoop, just change all of downtown, or at least the personality and what it offers. So the safety is a concern. I understand, looking out for local businesses, but are you looking to explore what those text amendments would look like?
I would definitely love that option. Take a look at that, see what it looks like. Give us an option, Matt. I mean, what that would look like I know you don't have it now, but when it come back, some options like text amendment, what it would look like. I'm open to that.
This is really more for a general statement. I think you have to consider your downtown as your front door, your living room, so to speak. Nobody likes their living room to be cluttered.
Can you please speak into the mic, manager?
Yeah. So you're looking at your downtown as your living room, as your front door. I think if you're looking to the future, you want to move trucks out of that space. That would be my advice to you. And look at other spaces like the Planning Commission has recommended. You just got to, as much as possible, whether you own it or not, and I tell you that's a totally separate story. I've been through owning state roads or getting them out of the state. It's not as easy as it may sound, as we're talking about. So whether you own it or not, you want to keep that space of your downtown free of additional trucks, whether they are parked or not, because that's your front door. Somebody said when visitors come to your town, there are 2 places they remember. The airport, if you have one, and your downtown. And if neither one of those places is memorable, you're likely not going to come back. And all you have is your downtown, not the airport. How can people visit downtown Zebulon and it becomes memorable and they want to come back? I don't think food trucks is what you want them to remember about your downtown. I think what you want them to remember about your downtown is vibrancy, business coming alive, people living there, and just being a really engaging environment, not static vehicles or people worrying about safety. That's what I would just throw out there as you think about all of this.
I think that's a good point, because I didn't even think about the fact, but it's spot on that as well as being wide and kind of going out into 96, they're usually tall and they do block visibility of what businesses we have downtown. And so maybe that would, not be as visually appealing driving through downtown and not even being able to see the businesses that we have. I don't know, but I just didn't think about it before. And can we please get some thoughts from Main Street, we have them here.
Sure.
Teresa?
Members of the board, food trucks have been an ongoing concern, plus a positive in downtown at the same time. There has been a need for additional food establishments over a period of time. We are looking to grow those. A couple of places right now that you know that are in place. We're also working with possibility of a food establishment going in at 130 North Main, as well as another food establishment, 301 North Main. Again, they're going to, I'm sorry, Arundel. We were talking about Main Street. You got me on Main Street, right? North of Arundel Avenue. And so it is important for us to consider potential of other businesses coming in. I will say I have had some small establishments that have expressed concern with the amount of money it takes to upfit for a restaurant and the concern with food trucks right at their door. They were not necessarily against food trucks overall, but at the time the town doesn't really have a place or a location for them to go, and there's not a distance or a separation requirement because we do not technically permit them. And so these are all things I totally agree that should be looked at and under consideration as we move forward, and the desire that we hear often is for more food establishments downtown. It is difficult to bring those in when we have a food truck in the front door. And so I would say it's something food trucks are very positive. We love the food truck rodeos. We love to see them come in. They do bring variety, but we do have to take into consideration those businesses that are wanting to come locate. And I have, again, been told in other instances that they have not because of the concern with the food trucks and the lack of an ordinance downtown.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. No, I said thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, that report kind of says it all. We're deterring businesses from coming here because we have food trucks on the street, and there's concerns for safety.
And our current businesses could possibly be, I'll say, I have at least one business meeting lunch a week at this point at Norse and Armando's. I mean, I and so going downtown, even, during the lunch hours, when I'm bringing people that are not a part of this community, into our downtown, I want to, I'm very excited about, small businesses and food trucks, but it's amazing to be able to walk them into an establishment and not have them competing with the trucks. I'm not against food trucks, but I just want to make sure that, one, we're taking care of the businesses that have really invested a lot of money into their downtown restaurants. And we don't want to cripple them, and we want to make sure that we're giving our community a variety. So, and we want to make sure we have a safe downtown. So the pleasure of the board right now is to... Okay, no one's saying, all right. Well, thank you, Director Lauer. We will look forward to more information on text amendments, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. New business, number 3. Is everybody good? Anybody need a break? Don't need a break or anything, do you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Good.
New business, community and economic development, Downtown Development Association, logo development.
Good evening.
Good evening. You have to speak into the mic.
I'll do my best.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to ask, how do I control the,
Yeah, just,
is it this little?
I could just do it right here. Sure. Oops, maybe not. The enter?
Thank you, that looks,
No, we need to, what did you press to increase the size? Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay.
perfect.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to give a short history of how the Zebulon Downtown Development Association came to be and why there was a logo development process that they took on. And then the board member who is on the promotions committee is Christine Ross will give you the technical details since she was in charge of working with her group for that project. So in 2019, the Zebulon Board of Commissioners passed the resolution to apply to Main Street as what they call a DAC community, and that's the first step that has to be taken, and you have to be in that program for a few years and hit certain metrics to qualify to be an actual Main Street community. So the town was designated in 21. Obviously, we all know there was a little break in time there for some other things. And then in 23, August of 23, the town completed all of the tasks to become an official North Carolina Main Street town. And the Board of Commissioners appointed the first board, and they began working on organizing the nonprofit arm of the program. And they developed their bylaws. They, got everything in line. That took 6 months or so to get all of it complete. And in that time, they also formed their committees. And the promotions committee is one of the ones that, one of the 4 committees that's suggested by Main Street to get started with. And so the promotions committee and the board all together came up with the idea to create a logo to differentiate themselves from some other organizations to make a mark as a new program for downtown. And so they started that project in early 2025. And now I will turn it over to Christine to give the detailed information from their work.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yep, so basically probably starting around February, we all got together and we gathered a lot of research and examples of other towns throughout North Carolina that were similar to our organization, and we were looking to them for inspiration as well as any visual elements that we thought aligned with our goals and purposes. So pretty much every board member, I would say, probably pitched in, even those that are not creative per se or visual people. Everyone contributed, and it was hard to tally a number of hours, but at least 20 hours, I would say, went into the development of our visual identity here. We went through about 3 rounds of refinement and editing for the logo type. And we wanted to make sure that the colors and the letter forms that we were using aligned really well with Town of Zebulon's brand, as well as Main Street America as well. So, and then we have our colors that are kind of named after.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Are those Pantone?
Oh, no, not Pantone. But, yep. So then, all of us worked strongly together on it inside and outside of meeting times, put a lot of effort and time into it, and we feel like it's a really strong representation of our group's passion for our downtown community and being a resource for local businesses. And this is just a way to identify us from, as a separate organization from the town.
Christine, will you tell us a little bit about you and your expertise?
Oh,
Maybe
sure.
a little bit of this isn't your first.
Oh, no, it's not my first rodeo. So I work with NC State University and their university communications department as a graphic designer. So I have a lot of experience with marketing and promoting an established brand. So it was a pleasure to work with our group, just because we're all volunteers on the board, and we all come from different areas of, some of us are business owners, some of us are, all of us are local, but it was nice to be able to work with a group of people that are really passionate about our downtown.
Please ask any questions of myself or Teresa or Christine.
And any questions or comments from the board? Well, I will say thank you guys for your hard work in getting this done. I think it looks really great. One thing that you mentioned in your presentation was that you wanted to make sure that you were thinking about the brand and the feel of Zebulon, and I just wanted you guys to know that we are hopefully we will be branding Zebulon or going through a branding process here soon. So I don't know if that will change the look of your image, because we want to make sure that we have consistency, even though I know it will be different, but we want to make sure that we have a consistent flow through town. So I don't know if that will affect this or not, but this is great. Thank you all. Commissioner Mouse, Mayor Pro Tem.
That's what I was thinking, the same thing we talked about when we went through the branding process before, the consistency, what that will look like. That's how I was going to emulate.
Okay.
No, basically what you're saying, the same thing is that when we went through the branding process previously, we were worried about consistency. That's one of the key focuses that we looked at. This board maybe think different, but that's what we looked for as key focuses.
And I did mention that Ty and I actually spoke about it, because I was like, what about our branding and so he had some good feedback about. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I can say, and I think Shannon will know this, every city has its own branding, right? Unique identity. But within every city or town, there are also neighborhoods, pockets, mostly uptowns or downtowns or upper side or downside, whatever you call it. They all have their own identity and their own branding. So I don't see any reason why Zebulon's downtown will not have its own identity, unique identity, because it's your front-facing business. How do I put it? It's the business center or business nerve, and so. But it's also obvious that the town wants to have its own, begin to reinvent itself, so to speak, right, and do its own branding and identity in the future. I don't think it takes away from this, but I also don't think this takes away from it. But what I said to the mayor is that we want to be careful that the tail isn't wagging the dog, so to speak. That this has to be somehow incorporated or find its way into the town's overall branding. I had a conversation with Shannon after we spoke.
Okay, great.
And that is something that we can continue to work on together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's quite a few programs that even just in our newly formed small department that we've worked on that are now having to overlap and integrate with newer things that are coming, because if we stop and wait, it could be, who knows? We don't know what the future holds. So I think with the group developing their coming together and doing all of the things to develop, having a logo is just like another step in the process. But from a departmental standpoint, I would say that it's what they've created now without anything else to work from.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I've gone through branding processes with municipalities a few times, and it's a pretty long process that incorporates a lot. Mm-hmm. So what would come out on the other side would be beneficial to downtown, even if it wasn't exactly this. But even if you started that pretty soon, it takes about a year to get there. So they have a little bit of something in the meantime, I guess. And have you had experience with changing, with brands changing?
Yeah, and I was going to jump on and add also that like brands, like a lot of your documents are living things. And like, I'm sure you're aware just in general of like logos getting a refresh every few years. And that's totally commonplace. And I feel as though we would all welcome like a refresh for Zebulon, because we're always changing, we're always, evolving, and logos and brands do the same thing. And when Zebulon does take that next step, I'm sure we'll definitely, as a board, come together to revisit our logo and make sure that we're keeping up with y'all.
Okay.
We're going to keep up with you and make sure that we're always aligned with y'all. So that's definitely something that happens all the time, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
That sounds great. I mean, you guys I love the color names, the Vance Red.
I really like the version that has downtown Zebulon underneath it. I really like that. I don't know why, for me visually, it seems like it's a step up than just having the infographic, but it looks great. And I think that part of our branding process is going to be developing a typeface or a script that we're going to be using. And I think that it would be very easy to transition this logo simply by aligning the scripts that or the typeface that we choose. But can you go back to the prototype logos? I really, really like the one that I was just talking about, but I kind of love that one that is to the left that is so colorful that says Zebulon Downtown.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
That's it right there.
I actually like that one. I like that one.
And I think there were probably 30,
We
at
went through
least
so
30
many.
different logos.
Yeah, I mean, we were pooling how many people there.
They were.
How many
Guys
people
did
on
They
our
were,
such
side.
an
I mean, they
amazing job.
created like 30 different logos as they went through the process. So I just pulled a few of them, like the one at the top was from the very beginning when they were just putting things together. And so you can see as they went through, like it really evolved into, yeah.
Yeah, and this was over a period of basically 3 or 4 months, which is pretty incredible, factoring in that all of us,
I'm so
we're doing
impressed.
this in our spare time, basically. So
I could see myself with a T-shirt with that logo.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I really like it.
Yeah, they
And
had a huge amount
don't
of them.
take this anyone the wrong way, because the other one is great too, and I think it like incorporates the railroad, which of course is historic and part of Zebulon. But my goodness, that is just that's amazing for me.
It pops.
I love it. But you guys did a fantastic job. I am so impressed.
They had meetings, downtown at Rosita. They had meetings
yeah,
all
we had
different
supplemental
times.
meetings as well.
Trying to, just what you're doing. How do you take the 3 that are your favorite and narrow them, so.
we were most of the time got eaten up by was just how do you get a group of people to agree on one thing, and like that's what takes up most of the time, because not one person is ever going to be happy and get everything they want. So
We
it is a
have no idea what
compromise.
that's like. We have no idea what that's like. What do you mean?
These are the microcosm of the parent, committee.
You know too well.
4 hours designing and then 16 hours of just arguing back and forth. Not arguing, discussing productively. But yeah, I think we're all pretty happy with it, and we've used it. I think we used it during Candy Cane Lane. Mostly internal communications, but
and
anything
like a
that.
coloring sheet for kids. Just,
Yeah.
There was a little bit of
Remember-
dancing it around.
Remember application form, put it at the bottom, but
It's okay to let folks chew on something a little bit and see if it tastes good in their mouth. So I think that was a fantastic idea to
All right.
start that with Candy Cane Lane.
Thanks, Commissioner Baxter. Great. Did you have something, Commissioner Rowe? All right. Anything else from the board This is great. Thank you all so much for this.
Thank you
for
so
the
much for
hard
your
work.
time. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it is. All right, thank you so much. We will now move on to a presentation from our communications manager for the town website updates, and there she is.
Just a second. There she is.
Go easy on me. This is in a draft mode. All right. How's everyone this evening?
Good, thank you.
Good. So, nutshell version, because I don't want to take too much of y'all's time. I'm just going to run through the draft mode of where we are with the website, and then some of the capabilities in which it offers, and then.
Can you pause a minute? So, I think I've heard this said before that our current website is I've heard the word stale.
And not user
Not user
friendly,
friendly.
and then it's
User-friendly,
not
stuff like
intuitive.
that.
Yeah.
So when Heather came in a couple months ago, one of the first things that I said is we need to take a good look at our website and see how we can move it forward into the 22nd century. She, in the process, however, found out that, and I think this is a conversation we have to have during our budget session, but I'll tell you now, that she quickly found out that we were paying so much for that website.
Yep.
And it really wasn't user-friendly. But how could we get a better website that, yeah, we still pay for, but not as much as what we're paying for this? And over time actually saves us more, because she discovered that there were so many areas where we were making payments, but we're not really using them. Again, we'll talk about that during budget. But I think this website is a classic example. She's walked me through it, and I really love it. And I think what you're going to see, you're going to be impressed. I don't think tonight she's going to necessarily walk you through the app that we're also developing for Zebulon.
I'll pull it up.
Oh,
yeah.
great. Okay. But that will even excite you even more, that you can actually have a town app on your phone for those who want to seek services. So I wanted to do that because she's too modest. She's not going to go through all of that. But I think she's done such an amazing job since she stepped in to get us to where we are getting to. So,
Sounds good. No pressure, Heather Louise.
Okay, y'all. So I did also go back and watch some of y'all's former meetings, and I try to pay attention to what people have said on Facebook and stuff. And to me, I found that transparency, equity, spreading the good news, and internal communication, which I discovered more when I started, those areas were top priorities and focus. But I would think that was a goals of the board. So with that being said, first impressions matter. And so as you all know, the website is the first interaction residents, visitors, you all have, as well as the staff have with the town, and plus also social media. So yes, as Ty mentioned, coming in, I wanted to figure out what we had, how things were, how did people feel comfortable with the usability of that, and just so happened that the website was about to sunset. So it was perfect timing. So again, this is the draft mode of it, but then I'm also going to show you a snippet of the user-friendly part of it, and then through the app. So draft mode. So what you see here is we're going to be able to have different banners. It's a rotating banner, and say I'm waiting for one to come up. For example, Police Citizens Academy. You can click on that. It's going to take you to it. The Youth Spring registration. You can click on that. It's going to take you to the registration. The mayor swearing in and the commissioner swearing in. It takes you to the video, the nonprofit grant. So it's a way to kind of use our homepage as an advertising tool in a way of like what we have going on, different important dates. But also the really cool thing too is the services part. So if I were to, for example, let's jump down to, I can't see, police. It almost acts as like their own website, but it's not. It's all built into the back end of ours. So they have their stuff, their records requests, calendar and events, community relations, their care dashboard, and recruitment. So it's personalized, And as well as, for example, if you go to, what's this, Parks and Rec, it has all of their stuff, and then it also will pull into like the rec desk, which is what Parks and Rec uses. So just trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly for residents. And go ahead.
Can you go, is most of this live?
No, none of this is live.
None of it's live or ready to drill down, or this is just all?
I migrated everything from our current site.
Okay.
So I migrated everything from our current site over, so I'm still in the process of editing outdated material.
Okay.
I mean, there's some stuff that hasn't been updated since 2023 with different departments, and it's not on them. I think it's just the usability.
Right.
And if you want to be able to spread the good news and share what's happening, you've got to know how to use it and feel comfortable with doing that. So with that approach, I have been meeting with different departments, department heads, and what I like to call webmasters of a department, like Hope and Amy from Parks and Rec, for example, and showing them the flow and easeability. And we also have a training next week with the vendor to show them how to use it, because you want to let people feel set up for success with anything. So this is like the calendar of events that are coming up. I'm still adding to that. This is really cool right here, so I can push out press releases and stories, and hopefully the goal is to build up more stories of like what's happening in the town. And this is really awesome with SEO, search engine optimization on the back end too, so when people start to Google Zebulon, more of this will populate, which is what we want, good news. And also the live feed right here. This is the live feed. It mirrors what goes on our Facebook and Instagram. So you're just getting flooded with all the great, wonderful things that are happening in the town of Zebulon, so we can tell our truths and our story and what's happening. This part I'm still playing around with, but I just, again, and also I love that I'm able to pull in our videos that we're doing. I know Mayor's like, why? She's tired of me in studios right now.
Please.
So this is format will probably change a bit, but I wanted to show you that we are working on increasing our video and the storytelling through that direction as well. And so that's a great way to do that. And also all of the departments are. That's the nutshell version. And then, is this the, nope, here it is. Okay, let me go backwards. So the app, very important. Translation, because we are a very vibrant community. So you can translate this. It's not just the Spanish, this is what's popping up right now. So it's almost any language. It will translate the website, which is important.
So we could take it into Farsi or into Cantonese if we wanted to.
If you so choose.
Freaking awesome.
And not only that, I can just keep ties like Heather wrap it up right now. So here's the Spanish page. So this is so important. So if you go over here, we're jumping over to the app. Okay. So I'm on my phone, I download. Now this is draft mode. So we download the app. It's on your phone. Wait, where did it? Town of Zebulon, So it's gonna show the live feed, which I just showed you what that was. So you pull up the live feed, and that will be posts from like social media, etc., what we're pushing out there. You can choose which department you would like to review, like, hey, what's going on with Public Works? When are they picking up that Christmas tree that I threw out? So you can also look at the different documents, depending if it's a Public Works document or finance, your taxes that are due on January 31st to the county. Then there's the events. So the cool thing about the events is you can add this to your calendar. So it's Android or Apple friendly, and Microsoft, Google as well friendly too, so you can automatically just add it to your calendar, which is nice. Events, again, more documents. We have a lot of those. Forms is basically surveys. I'm really excited about this because when it comes to doing community engagement surveys, we can have it built into the app, and it helps us like push it out more. So if we're trying to do a test pulse or what do you think about pizza, or not that you would ask your residents that, but just how are you feeling about how you receive communication? what area would you like to see it increased? Or when we do the branding study, this is a great way to be able to utilize our forms, and it's also consistent back with our branding, and it matches, so that's another thing. So staff, we're still working out the kinks on this part. So we also have like app notifications. The really cool thing about this is if you have the app downloaded and say you're Parks and Rec, you're subscribed to the Parks and Rec one, you can find out when the registration for the next bingo night might be. So you'll receive a notification for bingo night. Languages, you can set it, which I love this. So if I'm a predominantly like Spanish-speaking family, this is a great tool to have so I know what's happening in Zebulon as well. So I can have this app and everything will be translated. So it'll all be in Spanish. The notifications will automatically translate in Spanish that you receive or whichever language you choose, like Farsi.
When we do that, can we put English and Spanish on the top too? So that, because that's the majority of the languages that are spoken in Zebulon, just so that Spanish speakers don't have to like
navigate,
scroll and try to find it. I think it'll just be more intuitive and user-friendly, if that's possible.
I understand what you mean. I'll ask the developer and get back on that. That's a great question.
Because I just saw that English was up at the very top, but if we could also have Spanish up there as well, that'd be cool.
Right. Thank you for that. Anyways, and this shows where you can tell you can subscribe and what to subscribe to. All right. And then on the back end, just nutshell version, just you don't want to go through all of these. Media. This is just showing you how we push it out. It's all built into one. So this is basically my social media feed. If I go to create a post, live feed, an app notification, the different social media channels, etc. And then we also have it might freeze right now, but all the different pages. So I can assign pages to different people and with accessibility, et cetera, internally. So that helps with that. So it just makes it a lot easier for people when they're creating stuff, which was one of the biggest feedbacks that I received. So people felt comfortable. That was the nutshell version.
This
That is great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
this is
so
really good.
excited about the website, and I think that, well, I'm really excited about the website. I think the app's going to come along. You know, like I think that maybe that needs a little bit more work, but still, I'm really excited about the app too. But man, thank you. I'm so grateful that we're going to have an updated website that looks like it's going to be so much easier to navigate.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to hear about the cost savings.
Questions or comments from the board?
I like it as well. I didn't see reps. Maybe I'm missing that. The
What'd you
rep app
say?
that we currently have. Is that on there?
That's not an app.
It was
Reps.
It's what we currently have where you can ask questions, stuff like that. I don't see it on there. I was just trying to figure out how
Oh,
they
that,
get that.
so Rep is a chat bot, and that's on our current website, but once, at the end of the month, I'm expecting my tentative go live date's January 30th. That's when I would have it migrated over to that site.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
All right, that's what I was trying to
Gotcha.
Thank you, that's what
You're welcome.
was there.
My question for the calendars, so will the town of Zebulon's main calendar migrate everything in from all the other departments in there?
That's a great question. So Tanya, our lovely Chief Information Officer, set up an email account. So I have a calendar that I'm filling out now for all of the different events that we have, and it just migrates it. So it's, yeah.
So yes.
So every department, yes, to answer your question, yes.
Can you do it by department if you
Yes.
want to? Because I think that if we just migrate it all over into one calendar, it will be like what we've had in the past, and that is a very congested calendar that it's hard
no.
to tease out what events you're
I
actually looking for.
I see what you're saying, yes. To re-answer your
And
question.
I'm not sure if that's what Commissioner Roll was
No,
talking about.
I'm actually in the opposite. Like, my struggle is that there's 5 different Facebook pages. Every department has a Facebook page posting an event, and there's no centralized calendar. So if I'm not like constantly monitoring these pages, I'm missing out events. So what I'm asking for is one centralized calendar where everything drops in, and I can see like today we have a Board of Commissioners meeting, and then in the morning, there's a Parks and Rec event, and then, the police department has a first day of the academy, and I can see there's 3 events that I can pop into and just check out.
That would be awesome if we could do it that way. That would be fantastic if we could do it that way. But what we have struggled with in the past, and maybe there's a workaround, is that when we have tried to do that, we have wound up either with too little information or like Tiny Tots is meeting and basketball and arts and crafts, and like there's like this whole huge list of Parks and Rec stuff of like just every single offering. But if we just are talking about like unique community events that get populated in the main page, that might be more helpful and maybe what you're looking for, instead of like knowing that on Monday there's 20 different things going on in Parks and Rec. And I don't know, like.
So can I?
Yeah.
You're not asking for like during baseball season to see every game that is going to be played. You're looking for like Rock the Block is at 5 o'clock, and you're looking for the main public. Is that what you're saying? Not necessarily
one calendar with every event that the town is doing, that departments are doing, so that if I want to go to a baseball game, I can pop in. If I want to go to, I don't know, a planting downtown Zebulon, I can show up to that. It's just so that we can be aware. See, a lot of the issues that come up now is that you hear this, like the town isn't doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see where the town is posting this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever know the town is doing this. So if we provide one calendar that's got everything on it, then we can no longer say that, right? Because now you can pick a day and look and see all these events, and you can choose to participate or not choose to participate. And I think that would be.
So maybe we can ask Heather Louise and Jeremy to work on what that can look like, something that's more so for us that we can share, maybe something that just kind of puts everything that's going on, because that's something that we have asked for, so that we just know. So maybe that's something that you guys can kind of work on and work through so we can see what that looks like.
And I can tell you where we are right now with that, actually. So I have a spreadsheet that I requested from Parks and Rec, and right now we're in the process of reviewing. So you just also have to understand, like, they haven't had a communications person in this role for about 8 months. And so one of the things is identifying, yes, how do we show more of like what's happening in town, et cetera. And so I have a spreadsheet with Parks and Rec, and we're going through a 12-month big view of what should we put on the town's website and calendar, because I don't even know some of the events yet. I'm still learning about the events that are happening, and then identify those. But with Parks and Rec, for example, they might have 15 events a day. That's like Tiny Tots, jumping rope at 8 o'clock. No, sorry, Sheila, if you're watching this, but like something like that. And so it can get really clustered, but I do understand, and I like your point about having everything in a centralized location, so the information is accessible for people and they can see more of that. And I think that's something we're trying to work through, and also work through together as a team.
Can I make one recommendation or an ask?
Absolutely.
Sometimes with this tech, I know with our website, you could apply a filter to a calendar. So bless you. So every department could put in what they're doing. And then when I log in, where I download my app, I can apply the Parks and Rec filter and the Public Works filter and see all of those events, and not see the police department or not see public, or whatever, or the Board of Commissioners. Maybe I'm not interested in coming, but I want to see what events I can take my kid to. So maybe if we can figure out if it's not too costly, or if it's something we can do, is apply filters. So if I wanted to see everything, I could, or if I wanted to see just one thing, I could.
Right, that's a great point, and I'll talk to the developer about that. But I think also there's a key word for searching events, and I think there is a filter, but we haven't, I'm pretty sure there is, but I don't want to say yay or nay to you right now.
But it's awesome.
It's great. It looks really good, Heather Louise. Thank you. Commissioner Adams, anything?
We use it, so thank you. That's all I need.
Well, like, I test my mom. She's going to tell me, get on me. She's 76. So if my mama can't figure it out, then I think about, well, can a resident figure it out? So I kind of, because she uses Facebook because Google, and she's watching this right now. I'm sorry, Mom.
We need your input. Your input is important.
But thank you for y'all's time. Any more questions?
That looks great.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm excited about
Yeah,
this.
me
It's
too.
it's
It looks
been
great.
needed for so long.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Are there any other questions questions or comments from the board? Manager?
Only thing I will say is to remind us, I think Commissioner Baxter attended the EMS, Wake County EMS meeting yesterday.
I did.
I don't know who else is, but there will be some changes. And we just don't, we want our residents to be aware, but we wanted to make sure that you get to be aware of that. So I don't know if you want to share or summarize for us.
So, across Wake County, in the near future, they're going to be implementing some changes with how the EMS system works. Currently, they are running a triage-based system that kind of identifies what type of call the call center is receiving, and it's there are 4 different designations, E1, E2, E3, E4. I didn't ask last night, but I'm assuming it's emergency 1, emergency 2, emergency 3, emergency 4. I could be completely wrong. And so they're doing this triage now, but they currently, no matter what call comes in, as soon as that call comes in, they send an ambulance out no matter what. Under the new system, they are going to be directing calls dependent upon where they fall within this triage schedule. So if it is an E4 call, that is something where perhaps the person just needs help making a doctor's appointment. E3 might be they need to go to urgent care, probably. E2 would mean there is a situation, they probably do need to be transported to the hospital, but it is not what is considered an emergent or life-threatening call. And so the biggest change is that during surge or peak times, E1, things like stroke, heart attack, traumatic car events, violent crime victims like stabbings or gunshot wounds, those folks are going to get an ambulance dispatched to them first. E2, our fire department is going to be sent to make sure that that resident is stable, and the metric, the goal is that they should only be waiting about 17 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. This is just during surge hours where they've found the highest number of calls come in. E3 patients may still need to be transported, but they might wait 30 minutes, or it might be determined that they don't need to be transported at all. And E4 patients can be directed to a nurse helpline, and they might be able to receive the help that they need right then and there from a registered nurse without having any further intervention. And so I do think overall this is going to be not only a cost-saving measure for Wake County, which will eventually, not necessarily hit our pocketbooks, because as we continue to grow at 66 people a day in Wake County, we will have an increased need for more ambulances. But what it's going to do is make sure that the people that need that emergency service the most are going to get it first. And of course, if there is something like a fire or something that our fire department needs to be pulled away from scene, that can still happen with this new process that they're going to use. But I think overall, it is going to help make sure that people get the care they need in a more timely fashion. Because right now, there could be somebody that just has a stomach ache. I mean, they might have gas or they might have an exploded appendix, we don't know, but the nurse practitioner will be able to figure that out. However, under our current system, we send an ambulance out right away. The next call in could be a gunshot wound, and they might have to wait longer because we have an ambulance, that ambulance that could be traveling to them is going to someone's stomach ache. I think it's going to be a lot more efficient. I'm really excited about it, and we do need to be talking to members of our community about, this doesn't mean that anyone is going to be denied care at all. It just means that the care is going to come in a better fashion. And what one of the mayors that was there, Morrisville's mayor, made a comment last night, and I think that it's important to push out there as well to the community, is that residents, including myself, have probably received a postcard in the mail that says, would you like to sign up for ambulance service? It's $60 a year. And both the mayor and myself, and maybe a couple other people that just didn't admit to it, thought, clearly that's a scam. But no, apparently they're just not really good at pushing that information out as an actual service that Wake County provides. And I think it's important, just as a side note, for us to educate the citizens of our community about it. It's $60 for a year. And if you have someone in your household, you know, that pays for itself the first time that you use it, because even with your deductible, in many cases, you're still paying out of pocket like $600 for an ambulance ride, if not more. So if you have someone in your household who is older or with a medical condition, you know, like that might be something that you might want to encourage them to consider looking into. And the Wake Gov website has that information and the sign-up form. Did I cover everything?
Yes, you did. Probably more than I would have.
That was great.
So Chief Perry and I have met with our Wake County colleagues, and back in December, they were going to really roll this out as early as this month, but we, together with other managers, insisted that they needed to brief our elected officials first. So that's what they're doing currently. So that will ultimately roll out, but we'll be back hopefully in a few weeks to give you another update on that. But thank you so much.
And it's going to be rolled out in phases over 9 months.
Yes.
And so it's not going to all happen at once, but we should start having the conversations with the community now.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
I did not ask
Can I
for a
just
motion
ask
to
one quick
adjourn.
question?
I was about to, yes,
One quick question.
anything, yeah.
That looks at it all.
Obviously not discuss it now, but remind the board, I did send that email out about inquiring downtown businesses appearing vacant and what that policy was like and how that policy is enforced and what that looks like. So if we could maybe bring it up at the next meeting or add it to an agenda for the next meeting, then we can do that.
Well,
Add that to the works. What do you want to add it? What do you want to add it to?
Yeah, we can add it to the work session next
Want to
month.
add it to the work?
Yeah.
So can we add downtown businesses to February's work session, please, Mr. Clerk?
Just make sure I understand what you're looking to do, Joe.
In place downtown businesses where they can appear vacant.
they need to have stuff up.
They need to
in
have
the
stuff on the
windows.
windows. I took a member of the planning board downtown and, didn't inform them of the policy, but I said, to your knowledge, how many appear vacant? And the number was 6. So there shouldn't be any, right? And I just want to see, are we using that policy? Are we not using that policy? What does enforcement look like? What issues have we had trying to enforce it? Because if we are to bring an investor, I work in real estate, right? Full disclosure, everybody knows that. But if I bring an investor and I take them to Armando's to eat, and they walk through downtown and they see the vacant, that's the first question they usually ask, like, what's going on here? So that prompted me to look into the policy, and I found it. So I just wanted to, I know Director Lauer's got his hands full, but if we can add it to the work session next month.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You got that, Mr. Clerk? Matt? Cool. All right, sounds good. Will there be anybody else have anything else? I'm sorry. All right, will there be a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.